Saylor buys another 110 million in Bitcoin.
Ooh, damn.
That's
110 million, and we're at 110,000 right now.
Right. And again, I mean, maybe he bought the top again.
Good. Keep buying the top.
Do you think a Saylor buy will ever kind of move the market? Like in a way you would think an announcement and a buy would?
I don't think so.
Right.
I don't think they're buying it that way. I don't think they're fat fingering it.
This is interesting.
Maybe this is why he doesn't want to disclose his public address, because maybe they're just. I mean, actually, if you think about it, when he first started talking about his first Bitcoin buys on podcast, he was talking about VWAP and he was talking about, buying in chunks, algorithmically, and so why would he not still be doing that today?
Right, I agree.
And then just announcing, "Hey, I bought it."
Right. Yeah, I agree. That's a good point. I don't know if he's buying with the time-weighted average pricing anymore. I have no idea. What I think is interesting is they're closing Q2 in June 30th, and so then they'll be able to report using the new FASB rules, which will have if Bitcoin closes, I think, above 105,000, they're going to push through a lot of unrealized gains, and it'll be interesting to see how the market responds.
You're the accountant. So do they have can they hold some of that back? They have to push all of it through
unrealized,
So every time Bitcoin goes up or down in every quarter, they're gonna boom. It's either we lost money or we made money.
Yes, I believe so.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how the market responds to volatile earnings.
Sure, and that one-time push through.
Right.
For this quarter, and then if they treat it as an ongoing sustainable earnings projection or not, and how they respond. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Maybe next topic.
Uber CEO exploring accepting Bitcoin payments. Okay.
Yeah, he said it was like a legitimate.
You know how many Uber drivers have been orange pilled by Bitcoiners at Bitcoin conferences?
That's interesting. The Uber driver probably would not get any Bitcoin.
That's a good point.
And I think also what's really important here is
it's proof of marketing right here.
Yeah, I think similar, and I'm not. Stake Shack seems interesting what they're doing, but from what I heard, they're not stacking sats. So,
really?
Yeah, no, they're converting that to fiat. So what they're really doing is marketing to a segment who probably responded to not having their fries and tallow.
Yeah, which
so they saw that,
and then they had the big. Not a scandal, but everyone was disclosing how the tallow they were using had all these preservatives.
Sure, right. And it was right, and there was issues with the process around the tallow. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. I don't think it's like a genuineness, accepting Bitcoin payments, and also like most people don't want to spend in Bitcoin, especially with capital gains and everything.
I think it's more of like a technology thing too, because the company went and took the dev team, and bought. With paid with Lightning and Steak and Shake, right? Took a bunch of us out to lunch. So, I've never eaten there before.
Okay,
right? So, but it's like all touch. There was like 4 people working there in the whole restaurant.
Sure,
everything was tech and automated.
Yeah.
It was. I mean, there was like no labor.
Right.
So they are very tech forward. So maybe that has a lot to do with it.
Yeah, I could see that. Well, and then Uber is software company essentially, so it fits in with the tech, I guess. There, I think here this
is because they deliver so much Steak and Shake now.
I think this is just signal to the administration to
we're on board with you.
Bitcoin like the dollar and not tax it when you spend it. Well, because none of this really works until that happens.
That's the conversation behind scenes. That's great.
Sure. Well, that's
if the conversation like we have no idea, but Murray, what are you doing, buddy?
I thought, the most interesting thing at Bitcoin 2025, I thought, was I got to see Donald Trump Jr. speak. He was interviewed, I think, by Chris Pavlovsky, if I remember correctly. But the conversation really was a lot about how the Trump family was debanked.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that part of the story.
Okay.
And that they kind of talked about, we were always hard asset guys, real estate guys. We understood finance. We never had problem, though, with the banks and financing. We were always able to call our guys up and be like, we want money.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, they weren't even talking about rates.
We talked about that on the last show, because that is interesting from the perspective of here's the Trump family on TV talking about being debanked, talking about how the big banks screwed them, and now they're sitting there in direct communication with the Federal Reserve, saying like, "Could you lower the rates, please? We need to refinance $9 trillion." And the Federal Reserve's like, "Not anytime soon." So is like that battle still ongoing between the Trump family and the big banks? I don't know.
Right, but the Trump
And then
family is trying to
if
be a
you're saying
bank.
if these conversations are happening behind the
Yeah.
scene of like start treating Bitcoin like the dollar, start processing payments in Lightning, let's go, let's get on this standard. If they're really committed to that, that's a threat
So
to the
I
central
don't
bank.
think it's how do we treat Bitcoin like the dollar. I think it's more like how do we become a bank so we
Or how do we
can
use Bitcoin
to
to
be a
remove the
bank
dollar from the
and a
Fed?
stable coin. No, I think it's just how do we
I'm just
become a
really, really
bank and like
interested in this unknown conflict that may or may not exist between
it's
Trump family and the Federal Reserve.
it did seem genuine when I was listening to him talk about it.
Yeah,
I was
I
very
agree.
surprised.
Yeah.
U.S. Treasury buying 10 billion of government bonds. Whoa. Okay.
I didn't know that happened.
All I know is you told me that 5 trillion of debt needs to be rolled over by July 9th, I think you said.
Yeah.
Of treasuries.
About 5 trillion.
So this
by
doesn't
July
sound
9th.
like a lot of money compared to that, but this
No,
seems
but
like
it's
big
the
signal.
Treasury buying it, so it's Treasury QE.
Okay. But is this at scale that is meaningful? 10 billion? Maybe, yeah.
Maybe down the road. Maybe this is the first.
This also sounds like what
I mean, I'd
Japan
like
does.
to. I want to go research this and read about it. That's the first I've heard of it.
Yeah, this seems significant. I
But
think we'll have to...
Luke Groman has been talking about some FX trade that Becent is doing, or potentially could do with gold, to basically engineer quantitative easing at the Treasury level with
because they
gold.
can't work with the Fed.
Right, and then that coincides with this. Like, is there headbutting going on between the Trump administration and the Fed? And if it's not working out, what options does the Treasury have in refinancing this debt? Like, I know it's really interesting, man.
Yeah,
I think there's some major fireworks that we're going to see this summer.
Maybe that's why Bitcoin's perking up a little bit right now. Maybe we can do the lightning round.
MetaPlanet, good for you guys.
Wow.
Good
They
for
went
you
from the
guys.
little tiny engine that could, or there. I mean, that's really a huge number.
Well, do you know what their last buy was?
No, I don't
Because
recall.
I think Dylan was saying they want to double their Bitcoin holdings like every 90 days, right?
Okay, sure.
So I'm just wondering. I mean,
I'm not sure where they're at. I know they just raised, I think, a lot of money. I thought to buy more. Now they're issuing this plan. It sounds like we were talking about this
they're
before the
exciting,
show.
dude. They're
It's
an
very
exciting. I mean, I think.
But-
I don't get a big head, Dylan, but I think you're doing a better job than Saylor. But
I think he's
keep it
doing a
up.
fantastic job with the proof of reserves, the way
Yeah.
they're managing sort of the
It's
ATM
awesome.
issuance. We were talking about this a little bit before the show. I think we're going to see this major expansion in Bitcoin treasury companies, which are turning into Bitcoin acquisition companies, and then I think we'll see some sort of consolidation.
Something.
I mean, why wouldn't MicroStrategy buy MetaPlanet now at a certain MNAV to MNAV?
Yeah, I think I think consolidation, M&A between Bitcoin treasury companies is probably going to be something in our future. I don't think it happens like soon,
because it's a different way to finance, I think.
Yeah, I mean, when we have like a couple, maybe 4,000 global companies doing it, that could be something completely different, right? When you've got some companies doing it better than others, and the good ones are taking advantage of the ones that are not trading at a premium to NAV.
Right. And it seems like this is a regional thing. I mean, we have Adam Back is doing alt BG in Europe. There's now one called K-Wave. It's in Korea. I mean, this thing I think is up like 50% today or something like that.
I think we, full disclosure, Byte Federal became a member of Bitcoin for Corporations. Should be announced tomorrow morning. So maybe should be blowing the whistle on that. But, there's it's going to be a long list of companies that are getting involved because it's such a great club to be a part of.
Yeah, I mean, it seems to be where it's going. I'm a little concerned about the just the central. Well, I'm just concerned. I don't know where it's going. Just and that's okay, But like, how do these companies, continue to differentiate themselves? Where does consolidation go? And what is the final plan when they have enough Bitcoin? What is sort of like that Valhalla moment where like
Have enough Bitcoin?
well, there's only 21 million. So we're
okay.
gonna get to a place where are we gonna have a situation where corporate companies start reporting more Bitcoin that adds up than 21 million? Right. So
oh well, that
okay,
be,
so it's
okay.
right. I mean, like at some point, like someone's gotta be like, I have 2 million and you only can get to 300,000. I mean, like
somebody's gonna do the audit and count them all up and be like, by the way, there's 36 million Bitcoin being held by corporations.
Not including retail. And we're far from that maybe now, but my point is at some point, like you've gotten to a place where no one can catch you, and what do you do then? Do you loan it out?
I think it becomes how did these corporations start to separate themselves from the others, right? So I mean, Michael Saylor's got this head start and he's running down with all these different preferreds and converts, and then you've got MetaPlanet differentiating themselves by the way they're buying and how aggressively they're buying. Byte Federal is going to differentiate themselves because we have a profitable, growing company.
Right. I think that's huge.
Right, and we're buying Bitcoin out of our cash flow, and then we'll see where things go. So it's everybody's going to have a different story, and everyone's going to. But it's an interesting club to be in and hearing everybody's stories, right? And finding and learning from each other and seeing where this all goes down the road.
Right. I mean, I'm like not so much as none of this is financial advice, but not so much like where the stock's going to go. But I'm really interested in like how GameStop is going to interact with Bitcoin. Are they just going to use it and have it as something collateral on the balance sheet and hope it grows in purchasing power? And again, I'm not saying how they can acquire more, but are they going to integrate it into their operating business in some way?
Hopefully, they're working on that because
that'd be cool.
To just say, hey, we bought some, isn't enough.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, good for you, but it's not enough to move the needle. I think, and they have a amazing opportunity to just bury some shorts.
Yeah, that'd be
right. Like, why would you not do that?
No, I agree.
Maybe they're making a plan.
Well, hopefully we'll see.
So you've heard Bitcoin is the new gold rush by now. As world leaders on all sides have endorsed it as the future of money, and now you're looking to get started, we'll show you how. It's actually easier than you think. First, go to your nearest Byte Federal ATM and turn your cash to coin. Byte Federal has over 1,200 locations around the country with the highest daily limits. Go to our website, bytefederal.com, to find the nearest ATM to you. Log in to any wallet, then create an account, deposit your US cash, and instantly convert it to Bitcoin. That's it. We are the only US manufacturer and operator in the Bitcoin ATM industry, and our US-based live customer service is second to none. Go on, give it a whirl, and don't get left behind. Click the link below.